Refeed days, probably the favourite one for some of you guys. I bet you've all been looking forward to this. Like, yes, can eat absolutely everything as soon as we watch this video. No, that's absolutely not what it is. So, what is it? What is a refeed day? Some of you will be fairly comfortable with the concept. Some of you won't. So, basically, it's a high carb day, including your diet. It's more food. I got the picture there. Just to excite you more than anything. They're probably not going to look like that, dependent on where you're at. But we'll discuss how it's different from this concept of cheat days and cheat meals. In this context, your refeed is looking to boost your glycogen stores. So it's to increase that muscle energy level. You can do it to a level initially with making sure that you've got your rest days and things. But as your calories are getting low, we want to keep that training intensity. Sometimes putting a refeed day in is the best option, is better than not having it in some contexts, but not for everyone. So again, it's understanding where it fits in. And it can be useful as a bit of a psychological break as well. If there's certain foods that are high carb foods that you're avoiding on the plan, it can be quite good to be able to look forward to that.
Another time that this is really relevant is when you have a planned work meeting or you have a planned night out with work, or you know that there's going to be situations and issues that are going to mean that this is unavoidable. And it's about you recognising when we can use it as part of the diet, so you don't have to throw in the towel, so that we can sort of say, well, actually, you know what, I'll use that as my day for this next 10 and I'll stay low for the rest of the time. Just being able to adapt yourself will give you a bit more confidence that, you know, obviously we don't want you to have too many of these, but if the situation arises where, you know, I don't know, let's say you're taking your nana out for a cake, you got to have a cake. That's
Now, we're not talking about complete cheat days here and like days off your diet where you eat what you want once a week, you eat everything that you want. What Jamie's talking about there is probably more of a cheat meal where we try to track it, but we know that it's not going to be perfect. That sort of sits halfway between refeeds and cheat days as well. That's something that we absolutely can do. It's not as perfect in terms of the tracking, but it's something that a lot of you are going to face probably a hell of a lot more often than just this plan refeed. It's way to stay on track.
I think you should, like we went to London
this weekend,
Saturday, and planning the food, you know, like we got a burger from a burger van, the closest thing for lunch.
It was my last day on maintenance calories.
It's probably pretty hard to track them calories. So it's me sort of saying, right, well, that's one of these times.
I still did though.
Yeah, I did as well actually. But I bet it is the difference, right? So me and Josh did the same. If I was to just get my burger from Saturday up, it would be different from Josh's burger from Saturday. I think I actually just put mine in as a quarter pounder with cheese from McDonald's.
Yeah, I just found a dirty burger.
Let me have a look. Sorry to...
Dirty burger. We may as well check now. Let's have a look. What day is this?
So Saturday, I put, McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese, 520 calories.
See, I'd track that meal as 1,052. So there we go. But I did eat more, to be fair. I did eat a little bit more. Yeah, I did.
1,052. You had the chips,
I did have the chips, yeah. Anyways, not to go off plan. So let's give you an example.
And you had halloumi on yours.
I did have halloumi, and that was added. That's where some of the calories come from. So there we go. Pretty much. So an energy deficit. We know that an energy deficit creates a fat loss. High glycogen stores allow you to train intensely, but these sort of conflict because if we're in an energy deficit, we're going to have lower glycogen stores throughout, which means that your training intensity on your hard days, if every single day for a couple of weeks is lower calories than your body needs, yes, we're maximizing fat loss, but there is a potential issue that we're not training intensely enough because we just don't have the energy to do it. So a refeed day is trying to find that balance between the two. It's trying to find that optimum middle ground where we can train intensely and we're still dropping body fat.
Almost like a carb load day. You've heard of carb loading before, and sort of when people do a big event like a marathon or something the day before. Similar sort of thing. We use it
pretty much called backloading, isn't it?
For the same sort of thing as what that would be. It's for the performance benefit. We're not using it and the psychological benefit. But, you know, you've got to consider that there is method behind this. It's not just something that we're doing because we think, oh, you deserve a break. Well done for being on a diet for 6 days or past 3 years.
There are other potential benefits of it as well, but we'll get into that because I don't want to spend too much time on what people think they do. I want to go through what we know they do, what the things that we know that it is achieving there straight away. So if we look at a standard sort of 2,000 calorie diet with no refeed days, this is what it looks like. You might have 215 grams of protein a day, 50 grams of fat, 172 grams of carbs every day. So obviously there, every day is the same. All of the average numbers are there. Now, creating the energy deficit over the week, realistically, as long as them numbers stay the same, as long as we're hitting the protein targets daily, and the total calories over the week are equal to the same, and we don't want swings of because intermittent fasting is different to this. This is more carb cycling, not intermittent fasting. So we don't want massive swings in terms of calories on this. You're looking for probably a couple of hundred a day rather than more than that. So if we added in a refeed day, this is how it would look. Generally, most days your carbs would actually come down a little bit. Your carbs would drop from 172 to 150. But on the Saturday or on whatever day, I'd ideally put this on a day that you train. Don't put it on a rest day. We can double your carbs on that day. You can up to 300 grams of carbs. Now, by doing that, again, you've got a day where you're a little bit more fueled. For me, I'd prefer to put that on a Friday so that it's a training day followed by a training day so that we're getting the most benefit out of it. But either way, not overly important for this. It depends what days you train. But the point is that obviously we're reducing the carbs most days so that we can have one day that's higher in terms of carbs and calories.
My favourite point on this this topic is what can unfortunately happen is that a cheat meal that you call it on a Saturday, we're talking about a refeed day. This is planned. It's part of what we're doing. It's structured. It's supposed to happen. Yeah. And the reason that what we know that it's supposed to happen is because when something's set in stone like this and we're going to 300 calories, 300 grams of carbs, for example, on a Saturday, we are still on track on Sunday morning. We don't get up. Yeah. We don't feel like we've got an option to pick a different type of breakfast. We don't feel like we've got an option to get back on track on Monday. We've planned that. Oh yeah, you know what? There we go. That's what I've done. I'm back on it. On Sunday morning is the biggest one. If people have it on Saturday night, I used to give myself 24 hours. I remember. So my Saturday day would be like really like not eating anything basically until Saturday night, and then I'd eat on Saturday night and Sunday morning. But that was like years and years into doing this. Yeah. For the purpose of this, we need to make sure. High level. We need to make sure that on this point that you get up the day after and you do the normal routine. Yeah. So I think it might be important to just briefly touch on alcohol on this point.
Well, let me touch on this one first. So a 2 refeed day would be similar, but your carbs in general will be lower. Again, you can do this any variation that you want realistically, but within reason, as long as it all totals the same. So whatever works for you. Now, alcohol. Alcohol doesn't really fit anywhere in terms of it. So we're looking to use this to help glycogen stores. But we know that alcohol, yes, there's carbs in beer as well as alcohol, but it's not optimum for your refeed. Now, if you have too much to drink, that's going to affect blood sugar levels. It's going to demand more sugars in your blood, which is going to take it out of your muscles, which is going to mean that we are absolutely not achieving the goals. Even if we hit the calories perfect and it's only 1 day a week, we're not achieving the benefits of having this refeed day. However, dependent on obviously your stance on alcohol and things, it's probably having a beer on this day, it's probably going to do the least amount of harm that it would do at any other time.
Because of the extra carbs.
Because we've got the ability here to have the extra carbs, the extra calories. So yeah, I mean, it's how you want to play it. You wanted to bring it up. Let's go for it.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think one thing to sort of say is that when we talk about alcohol, a lot of the time we think, oh, you know what? It's only 70 grams. It's only 70 calories. It's only 140 calories. It's not necessarily just the alcohol. It is the alcohol, but it's more the effect that it has on your sleep. It's more the effect that it has on your sort of energy levels. More the effect that it has on your mental, you know, how well you feel. And don't forget, this is a tough challenge, guys. I want you to feel great on it. I want you to feel like, you know what, I'm on this challenge, but I'm smashing it. You want to feel good about it. Yeah. Drinking absolutely kills that feeling. You know, think about like your Sunday or your Monday after you've had an heavy weekend. You're sort of like, oh God, I've got to go into to do the gym, it's not going to put you in the right frame of mind. So from our point of view, alcohol on this one is something that you should really be trying to reduce to as best you can. I understand that people like a beer on a Saturday, a couple of beers or whatever. I think there's a difference with having a few sensible drinks on a Saturday and going out and having 25. So
binge drinking just doesn't. Anything that you can't. I mean, the
you can't get drunk is the best.
Anything that you can't legally drive off. You shouldn't be having. You should never have this on any sort of training program. That's the easiest way to look at it. Is just avoid.
What country?
Avoid that. well,
I think from my point of view, and I get what Josh's saying. It is going to be difficult if you feel drunk off it. Don't forget some of these guys, but you know.
I emphasise legally.
I think if you're getting drunk, that's not what we need, and it's certainly not going to help a refeed day. This isn't the purpose of it. If you are cocking up on your diet, please don't just reckon it's a refeed day, because it's not falling in the same camp. You can quite easily enjoy yourself on these types of diets with refeed days via this thing called carb cycling, which is what we're doing. But going out and getting pissed is not part of the plan.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. So it's whatever works best for you, though. What's the pros to it? Well, in general, you're going to have some days where you've got elevated glycogen. You're training on them days. If you've got 2 hard training sessions, 3-4 hard training sessions a week, if you can structure them around your refeed days, you might feel a big benefit in terms of your energy for training. You might get much better training sessions. Now, days where you feel full, and I don't just mean from an actual how much food you've consumed point of view there, but in terms of if you're dieting and you're getting pretty lean, you feel like you're losing loads of muscle because your muscle energy is low. Well, them days help to pick it back up and help to give you the confidence that actually you're not far off where you want to be.
Actually look better as well in the photos.
Yeah. Well, peak week is basically going to be manipulating a lot of this. You have some days with a lot of food. So if you want to eat a lot of food, you like food, this is probably a reasonable way to go if you're mentally tough enough to make the sacrifice on the lower days. And again, there might be a help in terms of hormone levels, and the main thing is that it might help to reduce metabolic adaptation. Again, it's down to you in terms of whether you want to use it, whether it's going to be good for you. Some of the downsides is that you will have days where you probably, if it's doing that in terms of helping to balance hormone levels and reducing metabolic adaptation, you're going to have days where you feel more hungry. You're going to have days where you feel weak just before the refeed because you're burning more calories in them few days. You'll have days where you still don't feel quite satisfied because it's not a day off. You still can't, if you're on 300 grams of carbs and still only 50 grams of fat, you still can't go and get a burger and a pizza because it's going to overdo your fats massively. So it still has to be planned. You're good there, yeah?
Yes.
One of the things is it can lead to relaxing on the plan. So it can stall your progress if you do. From a mental point of view, having these days that are higher calories, what we don't want you to do is think, well, I could have them calories yesterday, so it's only halfway to that today. It doesn't work like that. You don't want to relax. Every day has to be bang on to your numbers if you're doing this. And because of the higher calories, from a physiological perspective, if you have a bad day on your diet, your progress is then, you've had 2 high carb days anyway. If you have another bad day, in reality, it can massively affect your progress.
From my point of view, a lot of this is the mental state that you're going to be in, your mindset, the mind frame, how you are. Refeed days are a great way to control it, but they're also a great way to fuck it up. You can. Some people will benefit from it, but if you're an all or nothing type guy and you want a carb for a week, and then you say, right, well, Saturday I'm going to go wild on it, it's very difficult on Sunday to come off that. So for me, it's where it's necessary to put it in and how you put it in. Yeah. Like Josh said there about maybe increasing a little bit, 2 days a week, a little bit more. Might be better for some of you than one big day where you just go all out and have loads, because you might feel bloated, you might feel lethargic. There's all sorts of things might happen, and you are all going to be on this one absolutely individual.
There's one thing that I've actually we've not covered yet on this video, but I do and I have done start my sort of training plan. I always do it to start my diet. It's basically this, but in reverse. So I'll have 2 days. So I'll have my 5 training days where I eat a little bit more in terms of carbs. The total calories at the end of the week is still going to be the exact same as whatever I planned. But for me, I'll have the 5 days that's a little bit more in terms of carbs, 2 days that's a little bit lower. And then what I'll probably do as I progress is switch that into 5 days lower, 2 days higher.
You've got to find what works for you. That's why I was saying, like, you know,
Absolutely.
going out for a cake and stuff like that. If one day you all of a sudden go over and you're like, oh shit, I've gone over like 40 grams on my carbs today, and the day after,
if you jump on the wagon from doing that, then it's
yeah
on the epic wagon of gym, then it's not ideal. To it's probably not going to work for you. Now, a refeed is still planned, monitored, 100% compliant. If you are taking your refeed as a cheat day, then it becomes a little bit out of control.
Yeah,
so it's not a cheat meal. By the way,
we made a point, didn't we, in this seminar, that you are not the rock. Just because you see some people posting 25 burgers and 100 donuts on their Instagram saying
that guy after he's had a 47-week
unless you
low
look like
calorie diet and 32 stone of muscle.
And you know, you're part of this moving forwards. All right.
Guys, obviously this won't necessarily solve your problem. So if you've got issues, have a look more in terms of your overall planning, but it might just be an option for you to look at to get the most out of your training, out of your nutrition going forward and get the best results. Cool.